What's going on, everyone? It's Adrian from DraftTime, and welcome to another top sleepers, value picks, and studs video. In this video, I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to give you my top sleepers, studs, and value picks for tonight, which is November 14th. We have a 5-game slate tonight. There's also another game at 6 p.m. that's not included in the main slate, so I'm just going to give you the top picks for the main slate. Now, before I get into it, I want to talk a little bit about yesterday. In my video, I had mentioned a couple of picks who ended up not playing. It was Dwayne Bacon, Robert Williams, and Anthony Davis. All three of them ended up not playing last night, ironically. But I did the video earlier in the day before I got that news. So if you were one of the people that watched that video and you were wondering why I had those guys in there, because it was earlier in the day. The default top lineup still ended up hitting last night despite having Russell Westbrook in it, who had 4 fouls in the first quarter. I don't even know how that happens. But anyways, let's go ahead and let's get right into it for today. So my top value pick going into tonight is going to be JaMychal Green, okay, from the Clippers, going up against the Pelicans. He's $3,900 on FanDuel and he's $4,000 on DraftKings, and we have him projected to score 26.81 fantasy points on FanDuel and 28.15 fantasy points on DraftKings. Now, he's averaging 34 fantasy points over his last 2 games, but he's still low priced. He could get you threes, he could get you rebounds, and for some reason, Doc Rivers really loves going with him at the end of games. I feel like FanDuel and DraftKings, they've historically have underpriced JaMychal Green, and he's won us a lot of money in the past, and he's already hit at least 9x value twice this season. So I think it could happen again tonight. My second value pick is going to be Kelly Oubre, okay, going against the Hawks tonight. He's $5,500 on both FanDuel and DraftKings, and we have him projected to score 33.36 and 32.69 on FanDuel and DraftKings respectively, okay? He scored over 35 fantasy points in each of his first 4 games this season. So he started off really hot, and then he had 5 straight games in the 20s, okay? And then his last game, he scored just 5.3 fantasy points in 19 minutes, okay? He missed all 5 of his shots, and they decided to go with the rookie Cam Johnson. But I expect Oubre to have a bounce-back game tonight against the Hawks, who have given up the most amount of fantasy points to opposing small forwards in the NBA with their rookie small forward DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish doing a lot of the defensive duties at small forward. He's my second top value pick for tonight. Now, my top stud, no surprise, it's Giannis going against the Bulls. He's $12,400 on FanDuel and he's $11,700 on DraftKings, and we have him projected to score 65.38 on FanDuel and 67.92 on DraftKings. Now, last game, the Bulls gave up 67.5 points to Harden. Giannis, he's averaging 61.5 fantasy points per game this season, and with no Middleton tonight, his already high usage is going to be even higher. I expect him to have a huge game tonight against the Bulls. There is some blowout potential there, but even with the blowout potential, he can still get you 60 in 3 quarters, okay? Now, my second stud, and I know I might sound like a broken record because I've had him as my studs before, is Jokic going against the Brooklyn Nets. He is $9,600 on FanDuel and he's $8,600 on DraftKings, and we have him projected to score 47.15 on FanDuel and 48.91 on DraftKings. Now, he seems to be getting back on track after he had a few bad games in a row with foul trouble. He's averaging 49 fantasy points per game in his last 3, and he's going up against a horrible defense in the Brooklyn Nets. They give up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing centers, and he's by far the best center in this slate. It's not even close. He's the second highest center as far as value goes, so he's definitely a must-have as one of your studs tonight. My top sleeper, this is for FanDuel. He's $3,600 on FanDuel. We have him projected to score 18.13 fantasy points on FanDuel. It's Garrett Temple. Now, he actually played 30 minutes in his last game. He hasn't been that productive, but he did have a 40.9 fantasy point game earlier in the season. He's definitely capable of it. So he's basically min-priced on FanDuel. He won't be heavily owned because his lack of production, but he's capable of hitting huge value. He's averaging 24 minutes in his last 4 games. and he's capable of hitting some threes and also getting, a block and maybe even a couple of steals. So definitely has huge upside potential, also huge downside risk, which is why I consider him a sleeper pick. Now, my sleeper pick for DraftKings is going to be Donte DiVincenzo, okay? He's $3,100 on DraftKings, and we have him projected to score 15.59 on fantasy points. Now, he scored 31, 17, and 31 again fantasy points in the games that he's gotten over 15 minutes. However, his last game, he only played 8 minutes, but he should get more minutes with Middleton out tonight. He's averaging over 1 fantasy point per minute, and he's basically min-priced on DraftKings, so he could end up hitting huge value if he scores in the 30s again. And we all know what he's capable of doing. We all saw him in the NCAA championship game, so he's my top sleeper for DraftKings. You might want to consider locking him into one of your DraftKings GPP lineups. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's run the top default lineup for FanDuel that I'm generating on DraftDime's lineup optimizer. Okay, and we got Kobe White, Patrick Beverley, DeAndre Bembry, Lou Williams, Kelly Oubre, Giannis Antetokounmpo, JaMychal Green, Derek Favors, and Jokic. Okay, now let's go ahead and run it for DraftKings. And for DraftKings, we got Frank Jackson, Cam Reddish, Devin Booker, JaMychal Green, Kelly Oubre, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Derek Favors, and Nikola Jokic. Okay, so that's the default top lineup for DraftKings. Now let's go ahead and let's lock in DiVincenzo. Okay, you do that. All you do is you come over here and you hit this little lock by his name. Okay, and let's hit generate lineups. Okay, and for this lineup, you got DiVincenzo, Cam Reddish, Devin Booker, JaMychal Green, Kelly Oubre, Giannis, Favors, and Jokic. Okay, so that's the top optimized lineup that has DiVincenzo locked into it. This is one I was talking about that has huge upside, but also huge downside. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section, and good luck to everyone tonight. Peace.